Come on, come on, wait,
Rosemary Locke is a state-enrolled nurse, applying her skills and training in this special baby care unit. But that's only a small part of her life. She's also a housewife and mother to 3 school-aged children. After qualifying, she left nursing to marry and have her family. Now she's back. Rosemary Locke has returned to nursing. The need for trained nursing staff is greater than ever. The demands are such that today there is a place for those who want to pick up the threads of an earlier career. Come back to nursing is an honest plea.
Part-time nurses can be especially useful in places where you may work on a sectional basis. And somebody says, oh, I can work from 9 to 12. And then if you really look at it and discuss it with her or him, show them the department, you might find that they could come in from 8:30 to 12:30 and do a morning session in outpatients or a morning session in accident and emergency. A little bit of give and a little bit of take.
So what exactly is the giving and taking? What are the problems and fears of the nurse who wants to come back? How did Helen Lockwood cope? As a mother of 2 girls, she'd been away from hospital life for 7 years. Like so many others, it wasn't easy at first.
Really started with the advertisement in the paper, and this gave me the idea that I'd go along just for the refresher course, and it really went on from there. Well, the first morning was plucking up the courage to actually walk onto the ward, you know, but once I got on there, actually it didn't feel as if I'd been left very long.
You were fine, actually. It's accidental circumstances, maybe, but obviously we were both worried about going back when you went back. But when Helena came home that night and said that within a fairly short while of being on the ward, she was given something to do, and she'd done it, I knew it was all right.
Okay. There we are. I didn't really think that the hours would fit in at one point, you know, because I can't work during the school holidays. But this hasn't been a problem. I just work during the term times.
Eileen Mellor had to reorganize her daily routine when she finally decided to return to nursing on a part-time basis. As a registered mental nurse, she went back to the psychiatric hospital where she had trained years earlier. For her, one day starts much like another.
I leave home about 8:45 to take Lynette to school. And then, after I've dropped Lynette off at school, I bring Carl along to the nursery. And then he goes in, and then I go along to the ward then. And it's time for duty. I usually just get changed. And then it's time to report to everyone who's in charge of the ward. Then I start work.
Today, doing a lot better.
Yeah. Someone knitted the cardigan for you?
Yeah.
Just put your arm back in here. I think when I found that I was having so much time on my hands and I was feeling a bit lonely at home sometimes in the afternoons and that. Sometimes a lot of the people around where I live were at work then. And I thought, I'd like to go back again because I enjoyed while I was working. Had some happy years here at the hospital.
We want people with a lot of personality that are kind and understanding and like working with people and being with people. I think this is really what we're looking for. I mean, this is why when our young nurses who go off and get married and have their families, we try and keep in contact so that we can encourage them to come back.
The changes in hospital life can sometimes seem more frightening than they really are. Maureen Harvey, who has 3 children, all under 10, found that out when she went back to day shift work on a day stay ward in a modern hospital. The gap for her was 7 years.
I thought having to put a staff nurse's uniform on, they might expect me to know something. And I was certain I'd forgotten everything, but in actual fact I hadn't, and everyone was very helpful as well. If I had forgotten anything,
or anything was new and I didn't know about it, nobody sort of made me feel in any way incompetent. Everyone was just very helpful, really. There's so many patients that just need the one day in hospital or just come in for some treatment or come in for a one-day operation and can go home that evening.
You know, nursing is a thing you get in your blood. And the number of people who have said to me that they have missed it and they've wanted to come back. And indeed, husbands have said to me that, you know, it's something that gets in the blood, and their wives talk about nursing and talk about the days when they're in hospital and about their patients. And they remember patients for whom they feel they've done something that was good. And it pulls them back. It's a need, I think.
There have been many changes, no one can deny that. But those changes have been made to improve patient care and relieve nurses from some of the time-consuming chores. The advantages of a central sterilizing supply department are just one modern advance. It saves all that bedside boiling.
So just dead skin, is it?
Yeah.
But the doubts and apprehensions about returning can never be cast aside until the nurse is back on the ward. The frightening prospect of facing a whole new range of drugs is not so nerve-wracking when the time comes.
Nothing for him today. We'll just do the two in the other room now. Mr. Kennison? Have you got any pain? No, we'll just give you your other tablets. Just see. It wasn't really all that much of a change. It's just new drugs and one or two different techniques. Thank you. There we are.
Lucy, go with your tablets, please.
I think when they see, they may well be worried about how modern advances has removed them from what is happening today. But then when they do go along and see that other people are coping, and when they understand that they're not going to be pushed in at the deep end and expected to swim without any lessons, they get interested and excited.
How are you feeling today?
A bit tired.
A bit tired. There we are.
Thank you.
Diabetic. These off. You're still cleaning Sister's office for her?
And you can always hold, not necessarily come back to nursing classes, but almost social evenings within your teaching department or within some of the accommodation of your hospital, and show them modern things.
We have arranged this program and we hope that it is going to be interesting and enjoyable. But besides the interest and the enjoyment that this program we hope will produce, we hope that you will be stimulated to want to return to the nursing profession. And not
Going back to work as a nurse is often treated as a gradual process.
return.
Many hospitals organize refresher courses for returning part-time staff. Special talks and basic instruction on new techniques will be held on 2 evenings a week for a 3-month period.
And you do this with your fist like this, and it's the one that like this. Now, if the patient has gone into ventricular fibrillation, which is this sort of quivering of the ventricles,
I would say that one's doing a little bit of teaching, but because if they have ever had a mind which is educated in nursing, they will look and be educated by what they see in a new procedure. And it's a mixture of teaching and holding a carrot in front of their nose.
Come along, talk it over, and try your hand at some of the newer skills. That's the policy, and it clearly works. Dates and details of return to nursing courses will often be advertised in the local newspaper. And on that first evening, the senior nursing staff are prepared to answer a whole variety of questions.
Do we still have to mop floors?
We haven't completely overcome the mopping of the floor because the blood still somehow sort of drips down from the table. But of course we have got technical staff I don't say that nursing staff never mop the floor because there is rather a lot of activity between cases.
Nowadays, of course, with so many new hospitals going up, and even old hospitals having their departments refurbished and brought up to date, there's quite a lot of things to be excited about. And it's a bit like the war horse, you know. Just let them smell a little bit of the atmosphere of teamwork and being part of a team that's really doing something. And they'll want to come back.
But hospitals offer only one opportunity for the returning nurse. June Elphick chose community work when she came back after a 15-year break. She finds that combining her health visiting duties and looking after a family of 3 children presents few problems.
Well, in this type of work, you have to plan your own day. You don't have anyone telling you what to do or asking you to do things apart from, you know, the doctors will ask us to go and visit various patients and we will do so on their behalf. But once we see the patient, we make our own decisions, particularly with regard to any social need or any need that they may have. I mean, obviously the doctor is going to give medical advice, but there may be other problems in the household, you know, which perhaps the patients may require home help, meals on wheels, they may require other services.
Hello, Mrs. Collins.
Hello, are the twins?
Fine, come on in. Sit down.
They look very much better, don't they? You made it on.
Well, I think the fact that one has perhaps brought up small children, one, you know, will have met your health visitor, you will have known something about the services, you meet other mothers, you know their problems. Then, I mean, it can be very lonely for a girl, I think, having a baby and being at home. And often it's only those who've actually been in this situation themselves can understand how other mothers feel. They're still taking their antibiotics.
Apart from the need for nurses who have already qualified and wish to come back to nursing, there are also many opportunities for older women who have no qualifications whatsoever, but have the time and ambition to train as nurses. Sheila Buckley is a good example. Apart from working as a ward auxiliary, she has no experience. But that was a start, and from that moment, she was set on a new career.
At first, I found it terrifying, quite honestly, yes, I did. But as the weeks have gone by, it's become easier. It's true what they say, it is true, that it does become easier, you know, if you just relax. You have got to like it, you know, you've got to want to do it. I think this is the main thing. When you get past 40, the old grey matter starts slowing up, and the studying side of it rather worried me. So I decided to do pupil nursing. And I thought at my age I'd be well over the top. I was amazed when I was accepted, really. And when I went along for the interview, it was so relaxed, and they didn't make me feel that I was as old as I felt I was, you know, and said it was quite all right. And I think the first month in school, it's all sort of thrust upon you, and you think, you know, am I going to be able to do it? But you get such help from the tutors. They're very helpful. And they say to you, well, it will click into place in time. You don't believe them, of course. You think, my God, it won't. It's all too much. But you find as each week goes by, it does. Something you think you would be able to do, it does get easy.
Pupil nursing is only a 2-year training period, compared to 3 for the student who goes on to become an SRN. In those 2 years, more time will be spent on the wards. One of the reasons why Barbara Bonney chose to be a state-enrolled nurse. For her, it also meant a change of attitude. She no longer has that fear and suspicion of mental health. Psychiatric patients respond to care and understanding, and that's what she has to offer.
I've been on my own 12 years with the children, and I thought, well, I've had nearly every problem, you know, and I've sort of got over it. I'd be able to sympathise, or I'd know what people were talking about more.
Yeah, where is it? 2s and 3s. Do you want 2s and 3s?
Nurse, my brother's not been in it visiting today, and he's not been.
Yeah, we'll be here in a bit.
No, when my fingers are so not there, up
Yeah,
there.
well, the bus
He
might be a
comes.
little bit late. It'll be all right.
I must come and see him. I must
Well, we'll go and see if he's coming then.
I've got to
Okay,
see him.
okay.
Every week he comes and he'll always never
Okay,
miss
we'll go
us.
and have a look down the
Right,
passage.
He's over there.
I was a bit frightened of speaking to them. You know, you don't know what reaction you're going to get, or whether you will get any reaction. That comes with the experience, I think, really, you know. You get to know how to talk to them. Your glasses on, Hilda. Thanks. Be able to see a bit better now, I think.
Thank you very much.
I feel more satisfied with life now. Although I work harder and longer than I've ever done in my life. I feel good. I feel as though I'm doing something worthwhile with myself now.
I don't know how long we've been here. Right, here we are. Put your hand on that table. Okay. There. Done it. Oh, done very well. You can. No, have a little drink.
Psychiatric nursing is changing very much, and I think there is no doubt that psychiatric nurses of the future will, or they are now, a very important part of the team. And I think this developing the nurse as a therapist, you know, I think will come because they are really therapists. And many people think perhaps they shouldn't be called psychiatric nurses because of this sort of very social relationship with patients.
Yeah. Are you using oils?
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes. That's sunshine there. See?
The shining
side.
down. Will you put in anything else in the picture?
I'm going to put some.
I don't know. I think everyone has a fear of a psychiatric hospital because they don't know it. They see films about it, people climb up the walls and tearing their hair out and all this. That frightens you before you come in.
I think it's up to us, really, in the profession to try and get the image of psychiatric hospitals and psychiatric nurses across, and it will take a long time. I think the public image of psychiatric hospitals isn't good. This is where I feel that the more general public we can bring into psychiatric hospitals on open days or other things, the better, so that people at least will say, well, it's not like you think. And it's just interesting often when people come into a psychiatric hospital for the first time that it's a totally different environment to what they thought it was. It is ignorance, but I'm sure it will take a long time. I think it's the fear of mental illness, I think, is very deep in all of us.
The older woman, training to become a state-enrolled nurse, is encouraged quickly to become part of the hospital team. She's likely to be married with a grown-up family, and that makes a difference. Experience will have given her a better understanding of people, colleagues as well as patients. In that way, she's an asset to everybody, especially the younger nurses.
Oh, they bring, I think, a breadth of vision that because life has given them very much more experience than the average 18-year-old coming into nursing. They very often bring a humour and a tolerance and an understanding not only to their patients but to the other, their classmates, their colleagues of the age of their family. And I know that many women say, how could I possibly join a class of girls and young men who are the same age as my family?
I thought I might feel a fool, I think, you know, not knowing anything and working with young girls and boys that have been here for a couple of years, the cadets that have been coming at 16. I guess I'm great with them all. Sort of confide in me, make me feel older, you know, but it's a good feeling.
There will always be a need for a nurse with skill and experience. So why lose her when she has so much to offer? Many clearly want to come back and are now being encouraged to do so. The difficulties surrounding hours and family responsibilities are being accepted and discussed because a part-time nurse is better than none at all in a busy hospital. And for the older woman, there's now the attraction of a late career, a chance to do what she always wanted, to be a nurse. For anyone, it's a big challenge, but there's a vital job to do for those that accept.
Come on, Elsie.
The patient turnover, the demands that are being made upon a hospital in this day and age are not getting less, they're getting more. And although we are training more and more nurses, also it is now acceptable that one marries and has a life outside, and one is just not going to meet one's commitments or be able to care for one's patients if one doesn't make as much use of part-time staff as one possibly can. It's a shocking waste that you train people, train nurses, and they're good and they're finding enjoyment in their work and obviously giving something that's worthwhile to the community, and then just because they're married, you lose it all.